Hello, and welcome to this installment of our Industry Leadership Conversation series. I'm Brian Dobson, Head of SPAC and Disruptive Technology Equity Research at Chardan Capital Markets. And I'll start the call with my favorite topic, some important disclosures. So during this call, we will not be discussing Chardan research. Any discussions about research should be coordinated between a participant and their respective salesperson. Our compliance team has asked me to read this statement for the investor call. By participating in this call, our speakers attest that they have made Chardan aware of any potential conflicts, and they will not discuss any material, non-public, or confidential information that they are aware of that may breach their legal, regulatory, or fiduciary responsibility to any parties. So with that dispensed, today I'm joined by Tony DiMatteo, the co-founder of LTRY.com. He served as the company's chief executive since its founding in 2015. Prior to founding LTRY.com, Tony was the CEO of Glimpsable and founder of Montreal Enterprises. We are also joined by President, COO, and Acting CFO Ryan Dickinson, and Matt Schlarb, Head of Investor Relations. Tony, Ryan, and Matt, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, and thank you to everyone in attendance for your interest in LTRY.com. We think it's a very exciting time for the company, and we're happy to share what we believe is a very compelling story.
Great. Lottery is at the forefront of digitizing the legacy lottery industry. It's an exciting time for the company and the sector, and we recently launched coverage on the stock with a buy rating, and our report's available upon request. Today, we're going to touch upon the sector at a high level, then dig into Lottery's business segments, particularly its affiliate marketing program, which has been a recent point of contention with the street. Those of you in the audience, please feel free to submit questions via email. So Tony, I'd like to start with a big picture question so that you can articulate your vision for the company and outlook for the sector. So as always, let's take it to 30,000 feet. What megatrends do you believe are driving the sector, and how do they shape your outlook for the next 2 years? And importantly, how have you positioned Lottery to prosper in that environment?
No, absolutely. I think if you look at the lottery market, if you just look in terms of TAM, it's about an $80 billion a year market just in the US or North America, and about $320 billion outside. So about a $400 billion total addressable market, and that's expected to grow to $500 billion by 2025. So there's a huge blue ocean ahead of us. And the interesting thing is that the vast majority of lottery tickets still globally, as well as in the US, are sold in a retail environment. That means you walk in with paper money and you buy a paper ticket and walk out with that. And so this, in my opinion, or our opinion, is that this is a industry that is ripe for revolution. Because even sort of before COVID, is the lotteries had a difficulty of reaching younger demographics, where they reached around 4% of millennials, whereas about 2/3 of our users are millennials. And then when you add COVID on top of that, is obviously when the quarantines and lockdowns happened in 2020, is if you cannot go now to a retail location and swap your paper money with paper ticket, effectively the lottery revenue for a state drops to near zero. And so we sort of saw this overall trend. Obviously we didn't predict COVID was going to happen, but we did see that this was a legacy industry that needed to go online, and it could have and should have gone online, and it didn't for a host of reasons. But we realized very early on that this is the future, and our entire motto has always been, we're not here to disrupt the industry, we're just here to help advance it. And so early on, is we looked for a way to find a way to legally and in a compliant way to allow people to play their favorite lottery games that they already play, and do it from their phone, and do it from a mobile or online perspective. And that's really been sort of the key or the thesis for our success. And we've found that way, which is called the courier model, and we've just been marching forward on that for now almost 7 years.
We don't hear you, Brian.
Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, that's right.
So good. good point bringing up the courier model. Do you think you can maybe step back, give us a little bit of color on the company's founding, that courier model, and really how it works?
Sure. I'll say in terms of the company's founding is I met my co-founder, Matt Clementson, probably about 9 years ago now. And at the time, we were both running different tech companies. We met and we decided that we should just sort of be 50-50 on anything that we build together. And so we started self-incubating multiple ideas. Some worked, some didn't. Obviously, lottery was the one that ultimately took off. We thought, again, just a huge TAM. And if we can find a way to sort of crack the code and do it the right way, in a non-intrusive, non-disruptive way to the industry, that we could be successful. And so we spent years building relationships with the states and getting them to understand our value proposition. And our value proposition to a state is very clear, which is that we are here to sell your product for you for free, which just means more lottery revenue to the state, which is a good thing for any lottery regulator. The initial hesitance from them also made sense, which is that what does it mean for me as a sort of a lottery director or regulator to have a for-profit company operating in my state? Because if a courier like ourselves was a bad actor or a fly-by-night operation and either misprinted a ticket where somebody should have won the jackpot, or if we ran off with the ticket, that would be very damaging for the reputation of the state's game. And so our goal early on was just to prove that we are a good actor and prove that we're here for the long haul. And that's what we did. It took us probably about a year to actually get one state to say yes to us. But once we got that state and we proved that, over time that we are a good actor, that more states would follow on, and that has played out. And in terms of the actual model, we are a courier. So the way to think about us is similar to a DoorDash or an Uber Eats, which means we're not necessarily we are not the restaurant. We don't cook the meal for you. We just bring that to you and deliver that to you through a mobile interface. The difference with us is that, it's a purely digital experience, meaning that the player never actually has to hold the ticket. When you're on our platform, we check your location, verify your identity and your age, and then when you buy a ticket from us, what you're actually doing is placing an order for us to go buy a ticket on your behalf and then manage the interest of that ticket. So we check the numbers for you, we redeem the winnings, we credit your account, and then the player has the option to either buy more tickets with those winnings, or they can draw that back down into whatever their payment method was. So that's the courier model, so to speak. Is just the right way to think about us is like an Uber Eats. We just deliver a product for you in a purely digital way. For a service fee or a convenience fee.
No, that's an excellent and helpful description. So let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about markets. First, on the domestic side, which states are you currently operating in, and which states do you view as near and medium-term opportunities for your business to grow?
Sure. So we operate in 12 states right now. Some of the biggest ones are like Texas, California, Colorado. And in terms of honestly, I think Texas has been a great partner for us. We're headquartered in Austin. And I think that we're going to see a lot of growth there specifically. And even I always like to make the point, if we did not open up another state over the next 2 years, if we just focused on Texas and heavy user acquisition in that state, and California and Colorado and some of our really strong states, is that we could hit all of our projections just by sort of mining the field that we're already in. But looking forward, I think the top of mind and the most exciting states for us are states like New York and New Jersey. They have defined lottery courier licensing programs, and we're applying for those now, and we expect to enter those in 2022. So those are top 5, top 10 markets, and just in terms of overall lottery sales. And we look to leverage our very low cost per acquisition, which is around $4, which we know our nearest competitor acquires users for between $20 to $25. And that's just a function of us being lottery.com. Is it takes very few ad impressions to actually convert a user onto our platform. Oftentimes, I believe that from a player's perspective, it just feels like the lottery, quote unquote, has gone online, and it's just an easy way for us to onboard them. And then we worked really hard, and Ryan will get into this, I think, a little bit later, that we've made it a very sticky product, a very easy to use product. We have this motto of tap, tap, ticket. And so whatever age you are, whatever, sophistication of technology you are, it's just a few taps to actually get your ticket. So we try to make it as easy as possible to get people on board. And then, people just tend to stick with us. And at a very high level, there's two types of players. There's the lottery enthusiasts. Those types of folks, they play the lottery from 18 years old till they're in the grave, and they have their lucky numbers, which is probably their birthday, their family's birthdays, their friends, etc. And they don't want to miss a draw. They have that sort of FOMO where they would really hate if they missed a draw with their numbers and those numbers hit. And so those people just sort of continuously play once or twice a week. Whereas there's the other bucket is the occasional player, and they only play when the jackpot gets very high, 100, 200, 300 million, whatever that is for them. But what we found is that if we can acquire that, even just that occasional player, when the jackpot is high, even if they don't play again for 6 months or a year until the jackpot gets to that level again, is that about 8 out of 10 times they come back to us. And they go back on their phone and they start to search lottery, and then we're already installed on their device, and then we come up, and then they typically play with us. And even we found that we are changing the behavior of that occasional player. And so if we can be installed on your phone, we can send you that push notification to say, did you know that the jackpot is now 100 million, 200 million, et cetera, is that we're increasing the frequency of when they buy from, let's say, 3 to 4 times a year to ultimately, 5 to 6 times a year right now. And that's sort of our goal, is to just continue to control the consumer layer and be the top of mind brand. So when anybody thinks of lottery, they think of lottery.com. And again, I think we just have the best possible brand to do that.
No, certainly very, very exciting developments in the business. Let's pivot a little bit to international markets. So you recently entered Latin America through an acquisition. Would you elaborate on growth opportunities in that region as well?
Sure. Last year we acquired Aganar and Wega Lotto, two Mexican companies that currently, they operate, they sell the Mexican national games prognostico to the players. They also have digital or instant games, sort of digital scratchers, more more frequency, real time type of games. Additionally, they also have access to a sports betting license, which plays into our strategy of leveraging the asset of sports.com as we roll out. But if you think of Latin America, obviously great gaming opportunities, and our overall strategy or vision of the company is to be a sort of an Amazon of lottery, or a global marketplace for all types of games. So wherever you are on the planet, when you open up one of our properties, whether it's sports.com or lottery.com or some other ones, we want to, again, verify your location, verify your identity and age, and then show you whatever games you're legally allowed to play at that moment in space and time. And so that might be sports betting, that might be casino, that could be poker, slots, et cetera, whatever that is. And then just become sort of a global clearinghouse of all of these various types of games, leveraging our brands to make us the top of mind brand to think of as you think of Amazon when you think of shopping.
Excellent. So do you think now, as we end this kind of high level overview of the business, can you just leave us with your thoughts on the competitive landscape and what the near-term obstacles that lottery is facing and how you plan to overcome those?
Sure. In terms of competitive landscape, there's really only one sort of significant competitor that is at a similar size of us. And the advantage that we think we have, again, is our very low cost per acquisition. We know that they're acquiring a user for a multiple of what we do. And also I think that excuse me, that it's very difficult for them to become a profitable company in the even short to midterm based off of their existing model. Whereas our users pay for themselves usually in about 2.5 months. And so they become a profitable user very quickly, where I think as our nearest competitor, I don't see how that could possibly be true. Our challenges right now are entering into new states, which, COVID has been a sort of a double-edged sword for us. One, it has made states realize that going online is not a nice to have, it is really you need to have. You must find a way to go online, because from a lottery regulator's perspective, they must plan as if there will be more lockdowns and quarantines going forward. And it's just not sort of feasible to, count on the retail marketplace as a viable solution for that. I apologize. So I think that's really our biggest advantage there. But on the other side is COVID has slowed things down in our opportunities to open up new states. Just there's less people available to sort of grant us those lottery licenses and allow us to come and enter those states. So that has been a little bit of a delay, but we're obviously moving as fast as we possibly can to enter all the things that we possibly can. And our goal is still to be in all 45 lottery states domestically by the end of 2023, I think COVID permitting.
Great. So let's delve into your business verticals. First, with direct-to-consumer sales. They represent the lion's share of our projected revenue for the company over the next 2 years. And what do you believe are the key growth opportunities in that segment?
Well, I think, again, in B2C, it's quite simple, is that we can leverage our domain to attract users and get them on board as fast as possible, for that $4 cost per acquisition. So that's really just spending very targeted user acquisition campaigns and getting them on board, getting to a state of critical mass in each individual state, and then leveraging sort of viral mechanics to further, gain market share in each individual state. And as we do that, you'll see, imagine if we can say, that we are responsible for selling, let's say 10% of all lottery tickets in a given jurisdiction or state. That allows us to then have much different conversations with other states, saying, look, we put X amount of capital into the state. It increased their overall lottery revenue by X percent. And now would you like that same thing? That helps us open up more states the more and more that we go. And, I think the more states that we get, the more states that we get, if that makes sense. And so that is our path forward to control the consumer layer. Additionally, is that, we are the world's largest lottery data provider, meaning we have lottery data on 800 games in about 46 countries. And when I say lottery data, that means what was the last jackpot, or what's the current jackpot, what were the winning numbers, when's the next draw date, etc. We power Amazon Alexa, we power Google, we power the Associated Press, and we have about 400 other digital publishers that we provide that data for right now. And part of our strategy is to, up until this point, is those digital publishers, we have charged them for that data. The shift now in 2022 is that we are migrating them over to our affiliate program, which means instead of charging them for that data, we are saying, look, we will give you this data for free. You can publish it on your site or whatever vertical that you're in. And instead of charging you for that, is that we will convert you into an affiliate, meaning you'll get a rev share for anybody who clicks on those links that comes to lottery.com and is a player for us, which is something that used to cost you quite a bit of capital. Now it's a revenue generating source for you, and it helps us expand our brand and our overall awareness in those jurisdictions. And if for whatever reason it doesn't make sense for them to be an affiliate, is we can just get the attribution for that data, meaning that means backlinks to lottery.com, which helps in our SEO effort. Sorry, I'm losing my voice very quickly.
No, you're doing a lot of talking, Tony. A lot of speaking. So you referenced earlier your very attractive customer acquisition costs. They're among the lowest in the sector, around $4. It's very impressive given your expected lifetime value per consumer in the United States and an even higher one internationally. So how are you able to procure consumers at such a reasonable price? And do you think that's sustainable over the long term?
So I'll say, as we start to deploy capital, through some of our new initiatives, I think that price may creep up a little bit, but overall, I think we're going to stay quite a bit lower than any competitor that we are, because again, we are lottery.com. And I think ultimately that will sort of plateau and level out. And, you know, is if you think about companies like an Airbnb or an Uber, once you become that top of mind brand, is that people just sort of generally start to look for you online, you know, or in the app store as the solution of what they do. So the viral mechanics and just the social awareness of what we do is that we do think that we can stay at that or very near to the CPA that we're at now. And even if you think in a viral mechanics perspective, for $4, you know, we typically give a new user their first free ticket, call that about $2 for a Powerball ticket. Once we sort of launch these viral mechanics, if you're a user and you say, I want to invite my friend to come to joinlottery.com, we will give you a free ticket and we'll give your friend a free ticket. That's still $4 cost per acquisition, but now they may invite, you know, 5, 10, 15 people to join and also participate in lottery pools, where imagine now you can have you can have all of your friends combine and play in a lottery pool where you all have a chance to equally win, you know, 20, $100 million, whatever that is, and split that equally. That's sort of one of the mechanics that we're looking at. So over, I think that the CPA will stay around $4. It will have some ups and downs, but ultimately I think we'll level out around that cost.
Yeah, and certainly there are a lot of new and exciting marketing avenues that you're pursuing, some of which you announced this morning with your new ad campaign and search engine optimization. You say in that release from earlier today that you're funding that with cash. I guess had the sale of ad credits from the third quarter, have those receivables been converted into cash, and is that what you're using to fund that advertising campaign?
Yeah, I'll jump in.
I'll thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'll let Tony have a little break on his voice there. Yes, the accounts receivable have converted into cash. I don't think it's quite fair to say that we're exclusively using those funds to fund our forward movement on our campaigns. Obviously, we already had cash on hand. We're just announcing that we are really starting to kind of pull the lever on the massive user acquisition campaign that we had originally anticipated starting near the end of last year, but we're starting that up now. We're just announcing that we're also have additional funds to kind of throw at it. And in addition to some of the other affiliate marketing campaigns we've been using, setting up the entire system to allow affiliates to, be successful with their campaigns by providing them advertising capabilities, as well as development resources and so on to ensure their success as well.
Excellent. And we're already receiving questions from the audience. Thank you for sending those in. We will put them to management at the end of our conversation Q&A section. So let's move on to your business to consumer vertical. It's an important driver of earnings growth in our model, and it's also an important developer of new leads for the direct-to-consumer business. Would you talk a little bit about the mechanics of the affiliate marketing program? Specifically, would you expand on the interaction between the master affiliate and how sub-affiliates are added into the system?
Yeah, sure. So the way that we look at this is that of reminiscent to kind of the co-op concept of traditional print advertising mixed with the affiliate advertising concepts for the more digital space, where one is a method to help those that are advertising on your behalf, right? Providing them a co-op balance that they can spend against, to provide them advertising, development resources, obviously in print materials, that was just the print materials themselves, as well as typically some marketing tutelage, so to speak. And then the affiliate model was always very traditionally here's a link, put it on your site, and there was not a whole lot of emphasis on its success. If you got users from them placing that link on their portal or on their product, great. Really no skin off your back. It didn't really affect you either way. The concept that we're moving forward with is that of a combined concept. What we're calling Lottery Link is that program, and it is really helping to create an affiliate balance, success program where they can use a balance of credits that we first supply them for free, to then work against those. We're going to help set up the program, make sure they're getting in there, make sure they have some advertising capabilities, make sure that they're starting off with a baseline of success. And then as they are seeing that success, they have an option to then buy more credits from either us or from a master affiliate to power the program and continue to ensure that they're getting their worth from the program as well. So really it's to ensure success on both sides, both for the affiliate and for us. As far as onboarding those, the truth is that as we get more successful master affiliates in the pipeline, then more master affiliates will come on. The way that we look at a master affiliates are kind of two different things. One are companies that have a lot of connectivity through pre-existing products or pre-existing integrations that they already have. And then others are companies that have pre-existing relationships or pre-existing integrations, typically with like a more physical retail space. And so when physical retail comes on, each one of those retail stores wants to be incentivized to, put our product in front of their customers. Our master affiliate program kind of really helps to incentivize that process, as well as gives them the tools, specifically through either advertising credits, like I said, development, or the collateral itself, to make sure that the program is moving forward and make sure that they have some baseline of success versus just here's a link, or in the case of physical retail space, here's an ad, put the poster up, we wish you the best, right? We're really kind of pushing to make sure the success is rolling out.
That's very helpful, thanks. And advertising credits, the sales to your master affiliate generated like $30 million of revenue in the third quarter. How do you see ad credit sales evolving over the next, call it 12 to 24 months? And would those future ad credit sales potentially have a lower flow through than the ones that we saw in the third quarter?
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that there will be lumpier throughout the various quarters as we move forward. It's not going to be, that kind of spike that occurred in Q3. There will still be part of our ongoing plan, and we have a lot of kind of assets sitting on our balance sheet that are not really being utilized by us, that we can leverage in the same method, either directly through an affiliate to ours, right? So we supply that to the affiliate directly, or we supply it at a markdown price to a master affiliate, so they can then supply it to their affiliate, right? Again, it's all just about making sure that the affiliates and the master affiliates have tools at their disposal to make their program success, because their program being successful means more ticket sales for us, which obviously means more revenue overall. It also just introduces a method for us to receive additional revenue for the purchase of those credits. The one bigger thing I want to make sure that is understood is that yes, in the third quarter, there was a significant amount of credits that were purely for advertising credits, but the concept of a kind of advertising affiliate credit system is not purely just on the advertising materials themselves. It is for credits against time, as well as material. So our development time, our customer support time, as well as tickets themselves, right? So there's a certain amount of free tickets. As Tony had mentioned before, a lot of our own promotional materials provide a free ticket on sign up. And we want to make sure our affiliates have that same kind of luxury. So we kind of provide them that process through co-op credits, our affiliate credit system. Those credits that are used against those tickets, and then they have the option to kind of come back and get some more later. So it will be lumpier, but it won't be non-existent. Every affiliate we sign on, it provides us an opportunity to sell additional credits to them for either advertising, development, customer support, or tickets.
Great, thanks. So exciting announcement this morning, Lottery Link, the new brand launched today. How are you going to utilize that to drive growth call it over the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, well, so one of the bigger things we have done is we brought on a global VP to oversee the entire program. I think that's going to be very helpful for us in kind of moving the program forward. They have, decades worth of experience in the co-op, branding space. So they really know that market and know how to sell that type of product. They're just selling it more in a digital version now. And so that's going to be, I think, a very successful part of our process is bringing on the right people that know how to sell this product, know what the product is, and know how to push it into the right hands. Again, like I also said before, as we have more successful affiliates and more successful master affiliates to point to, it gets a lot easier for them to go make that pitch, right? Like, look what this company did with our program, what they were able to earn for both us and themselves. So, success of a program begets more sales of the program. Yeah, good.
Well, I was going to say, you also teased us with a very exciting grocery store pilot program this morning. Any kind of additional color you can provide there? That's a great way to get in front of more consumers.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of many ways that the Lottery Link program works through either a master affiliate, or if this was our retailer directly, the program works the same way, which is they set up a program where as they sell their product, their groceries, then the users, their customers have access to get a free ticket as a promo material, right? So that promotion of they buy more of their products as a result of them buying more of the products, they get a free ticket, that then turns into a user for us. And that's just one of many ways we can kind of leverage that program. The master affiliate is kind of introduce the program to them, to the grocery store. That has been in pilot now, I guess, for about a week now. I guess about a week and a half. And the program itself is doing fairly well already, given it's only been out for a limited amount of time. And the way that the master affiliate plays their part in there is that they are using their advertising credits to advertise for that program directly to the grocery store. So the grocery store is getting kind of the benefit of free advertising from the master affiliate. And then in exchange, what we get from that is as a promotional material for their customers, we're getting more users.
Great. So just turning to your remaining business segment, data service. So Tony, gave some very enlightening color on how he sees that developing over the next few years in terms of turning that from a cost for those clients to a revenue generator. I guess, do you see that business segment evolving into an additional affiliate marketing type of avenue over the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, the very traditional approach we had is a subscription base for access to the data. That will still continue for some major partners, but we also see that kind of controlling the consumer layer and the success of some of the affiliate programs we've already introduced, and the early success we're seeing, and even some of the most newer ones, is really kind of reshaping our mindset on the data usage and data consumption for some of those media partners. And really having that kind of convert into an attribution concept versus just purely a pay us to access the data. That there is potential, again, depending on the partner, better use case for both us and them to have it turn into an attribution where here's the data supplied to you. You go ahead and have it. All we ask is that there's an attribution link associated to us that can help drive more users directly from that data into now a lottery purchaser, not just a lottery data consumer.
Excellent. And with that, let's turn to M&A. So what are your thoughts for mergers and acquisitions in the sector over the, call it, next 12 months?
Sure, I can take that. I think the way that we look at acquisitions, I think you'll see most of them outside of the US. We're looking for obviously existing lottery providers or operators as they exist right now. But also, again, we look to become a global marketplace for all types of games. whether that's in the casino space, sports betting, poker, slots, keno, what have you. And so we're looking at targets that have very high revenue, very good EBITDA. And the thing that we found is that oftentimes is we find really good operators. They know what they're doing. They understand their vertical very well, but either they don't have a lot of liquidity options going forward in their given country, meaning either there's no exchange or a very small exchange in their country. And so we're a very attractive acquirer from their perspective, being listed on the NASDAQ, as they see us as doing a cash and stock deal potentially. Is that being on the NASDAQ that ultimately will end up for them higher liquidity and just being a better company for them. And so we're looking at all of those opportunities. Also, when we do acquire a company internationally, is we obtain licensing. We obtain their licensing, which oftentimes includes lottery licensing as well, if they're in, let's say, the sports betting space. And then ultimately is we look to cross-sell those various products. So it's quite easy for us to sell our US games or our own games with like Project Nexus for a sports bettor. And then obviously, and then we can expose sports betting to lottery products and vice versa. So that's really what we're looking at, is to, again, become sort of a global marketplace for all types of games, and then cross-sell all of our various products to the different user bases and leverage their payment processing, leverage their licensing where they are right now to just overall dominate, again, the consumer layer, whether it's lottery.com or sports.com. You come to us in one way, whichever front door you come through, and we want to show you whatever games you're legally allowed to play at that moment in time.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for your insights. I believe this has been time very well spent. And with that, I'll turn to audience Q&A, which has been sent in throughout our call. So I guess our first question, which is somewhat loaded, as you would expect, is, do you have any thoughts on why the stock has been battered? The microcaps and SPACs have been among the worst performing, and considering your small float, do you believe the stock is under attack?
Sure. So, I think, one, I do think that we've had some short attacks on the stock for sure, at least from our perspective. And I think the Q3 announcement that we made was misunderstood. And I think obviously we bear some responsibility for that, for not fully explaining it. And to be fair, it is when you get into sort of co-op, advertising credits, it is a complicated subject, and perhaps we did not explain that well to the street. But I do think that there is a lot of misinformation out there and people who are absolutely attacking the stock. But I do think we are quite a bit undervalued, and closing the Q3 AR will help to sort of hopefully alleviate some of those concerns. I do think that a recovery from our perspective is well in hand, and we expect to be back at least where we were probably by March-ish timeframe. But we'll see how that goes. But I do think there has been a lot of misinformation out there, just factually inaccurate, and also, again, we bear part of that blame in terms of not explaining well the Q3 transaction to the street.
Understood. And I think the more that you elaborate on the affiliate marketing program, the better. So would you please give an update on sports.com? Is the next question.
Sure. So sports.com, I think that the experience that a player will receive on sports.com will be dependent on where they are geographically. So through M&A, if we can acquire a sports book in a given jurisdiction, when you come to sports.com, is obviously we will show you that actual environment, and you'll be able to bet directly there. When we when we think about the US, sports betting obviously is a very crowded space. Most of the transformation from offline to online has really already happened. And so it may not make sense for us to go directly compete with sort of the DraftKings, the FanDuels, the BetMGM, Caesars, et cetera, which are deploying a tremendous amount of capital to acquire users. But our advantage there is sports.com in the US can be a data, news, informational content driven site that can ultimately funnel up users up into sports betting and effectively leverage Sports.com as an affiliate to the existing sports books. Now, we may still enter at some point into actual sports betting in the US, but in the short term is we're seeing sports books right now pay very high bounties, as high as $500 plus to acquire a user to an affiliate. And so if we can effectively be that affiliate, we can recognize that revenue that comes to us without sort of being competitive to the existing sports books, and just be an additional way for them to obtain new users. And again, if we can bring in a user from lottery.com at $4, expose them to sports betting, and let's say receive even $250 or $100 to make that conversion, we've lowered their cost per acquisition significantly, and we can recognize that revenue as an affiliate, which is very beneficial for us as we move forward. And then again, ultimately enter into relationships where we're cross-selling our various products, sports betting to lottery players, lottery to sports bettors.
Thank you. Our next question has to do with your mobile app and its the development of its features. How do you believe it will compete with the user experience of competitors like Jackpot? And should we expect material improvement within the next rollout?
No, absolutely, you should. And I think you'll see a lot of features, not just in the sort of overall UI of the app, but more and more games and value-added features. But actually, I think I'd like to turn this over to Ryan to get into the specifics of what we're working on. And maybe, Ryan, if you could talk about Project Nexus and what the back end means and how that reflects on the front end.
Yeah, I mean, Project Nexus is the backbone of everything that we're building. So not only, obviously, as Tony has mentioned several times, that it's going to bring some blockchain capabilities to our overall product, but just generally as a new core system to what we're building in the background, it will allow for more rapid deployment of features against the kind of core base that we're creating with what Project Nexus represents. So it has built in the ability to launch out various features that I think that the market is hungry for, and that we're hungry to get out there. So that includes, lottery pools, subscription concepts, scratchers. There's all kinds of things that we have lined up to start rolling out once Nexus itself is rolled out. So Nexus will kind of roll out on its own, and then immediately following that will be various features kind of rapidly deployed against what Nexus represents, which is obviously its own backend, service infrastructure that we're creating, connected through blockchain, but then also based off of how the system is built. The biggest thing that it provides us is the ability to rapidly deploy new features.
Great. Our next question is regarding your cash balances. At year end, was your cash balance approximately $70 million following the collection of a $30 million ad credit?
Yeah.
Ad credit receivables, sorry.
What's that?
Following the collection of the ad credit receivables.
Yes, I can say it was roughly around 65, 70, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
All right, excellent. And our final question from the audience, barring any other submissions, is where are you in the CFO search?
Yep, we're actively interviewing several possible candidates. As a company, we are very much a company about fit. We want to make sure that the vision of where we're going and what we want to do, both domestically and internationally. Obviously, Tony's talked many times throughout this interview about the goal for us to be a marketplace. We want to be more than just a single lottery service system. We want to provide a method for people to play various types of games, no matter where they are, no matter what type of game they want to play. That vision has to be understood and has to be clearly shared by our CFO candidates. So we are really, hammering through multiple interviews, typically several a week that we're going through, but we're in full force in that interview process, and we hope to have some final decisions shared fairly soon.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. We appreciate your time. I believe that this was a very informative discussion, and look forward to continuing it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us.